Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are watching this. But my word of encouragement this morning is more so a question. And I hope and pray that the question that I raised encourages you to go a step deeper in your relationship with God. I hope and pray that it encourages you to even go a step deeper in your prayer time with God. Go a step deeper in your confidence with God. And go a step deeper in what He has called you to do. So last night when we were on Bible study, Overseer was talking about a few things. And it raised the question for me, if God sent you into the drug areas, and I asked this question also in my church group. So for those of you that are watching, the question may sound a little bit different. I can't remember exactly how I worded it, but it's all aligning with the same. But I asked the question, and the question is, if God sends you into the high drug area, if God sends you into an alcoholic place, like, Alcoholics Anonymous, or where the people are addicted to alcohol, heavy drinkers. If He sends you into those areas, even the areas where drug dealers are, if God sends you into those areas, will you have enough faith? Will you be bold enough? Will you have enough strength to say yes to going into those places with no fear? Will you have enough strength to go into those places knowing that He's going to have you covered, because He's not going to send you somewhere that He's not going to cover you? And will you have enough faith? Will you trust Him enough to go into those places? I'm going to say go into those dark valleys without knowing what your reward is in the end. Your reward in the end may not even be anything that you think it's going to be. But will you trust God enough? If He's sending you, if He's calling you into those areas, will you trust God enough to go into those dark valleys? Will you trust God enough to go into those deep areas? Will you trust God enough to go, I'm going to say go into the unknown, because when you walk into those areas, you never know what you're going to get. But the scripture that I am referencing this morning is Isaiah 35, 3 through 4. And I'm not going to give you the whole scripture. But that scripture, when I read it in reference to the question that I've raised, it made me realize that, of course, we know that we're strengthened by God. Of course, we know He's not going to send us into an area where He's not going to cover us. Of course, we know all of the surface things. But when you dig a little bit deeper into that, some of the versions say He will strengthen the limp bones. Some of the versions say, and I don't know exactly, like, I read it, but I don't know exactly. I don't remember exactly word for word, so please don't quote me. But some of it will say that He will give water to the thirsty. He'll give life to the dead. And I am paraphrasing, just so you guys know, I'm paraphrasing. So please, again, don't quote me on, you said this and it said that. Go back and read it for yourself, because I'm definitely paraphrasing it how I took it and my understanding of it. But so, each version gives a different version. Each version gives a different revelation. Each version, of course, gives a different wording. So in knowing that, and in reading that, and even in hearing it, because I even play it to hear it in my ear. So even in hearing that, it gave me the revelation that not only will God strengthen me to go into those places, not only will He strengthen me to walk out of those places, He's going to strengthen me enough to walk in, but He's also going to strengthen me and keep me armed to be able to walk out of those places. Again, you're going into a dark area, you never know what you're going to receive. So He's going to strengthen you to go into the place, but he's also going to strengthen you to make your way out of the place. But in him strengthening you to make your way out of the place, he's also going to strengthen the other people within those areas through you, through the strength that he has poured into you. So my answer to the question is yes. Yes, I will willingly go into those places because my voice is distinct. And I don't know who's waiting on my voice, on my particular voice to speak out. I don't know who's waiting on my particular voice to come out of those dark areas. I don't know who's waiting on my particular voice to say, God is with you. God is covering you. God is shielding you. You don't have to be afraid to come out. You don't have to be afraid to step into something that is unknown. You don't have to be afraid to come out into the world. Because let's just be honest, when you go into those places, it's dark, it's cold, it's dim, it's I'm gonna say it feels like a room full of death. Because yes, it kind of death on earth. Let me explain death on earth. That's what it feels like to me going into those places. You're going into these places where it's an unknown place. You're going into the places where people are literally drinking their life away, smoking their life away, shooting up their life away. I'm just going to say it like it is. Shooting up their life away, sniffing their life away. But in reality, aren't we all doing something of some sort? Your addiction, your death on earth might not look like theirs. It might not be physical. And I'll use myself for instance. I will scroll. So I've gotten into reading my Bible more often than I used to, so that I can put the phone away, so that I can say, this is your time. I'm not going to aimlessly scroll. This is the time that I'm giving you. I'm going to scroll on the times that you have provided me to scroll. That is death on earth. Because me scrolling, what am I feeding into my mind? What am I feeding into my gates? If you watched the video from yesterday, plug in your gates. Each gate that you plug in, you are taking away access for the enemy to creep in. So plug in those gates with something that is of God. Plug in those gates with something that is useful. Scrolling is not useful. And I am definitely guilty of that. Even now I find myself, like, I'll scroll, but then I'll stop and I'll put my phone down and I'll go to pick it up, but then I'll put it right back down. No, I'm not going to scroll. And he's giving me the strength to say, you don't need to aimlessly scroll on Facebook or TikTok or whatever. Like, you don't need to scroll on those things I'm not even going to say to gain information from me, because that's not really what I was doing. I was kind of just bored and scrolling. But in those times that, in being bored, you replace it with watching something useful. You replace it with reading something useful. You replace it with meditating on something useful. Praying about something useful. Praying that he take that away from you, the urge to want to scroll. But even then, like, it's still, for me, it's scrolling. For somebody else, it may be a game. For somebody else, it may be you're addicted to lying. You never know who, again, is waiting on your distinct voice. So the areas that he calls us to for a reason. Why not go into those places? Somebody met us in the area that we were in. Somebody met us in the death that we were in. Somebody met us in the drought that we were in. So why not take what God has given you? Why not use the strength that he has given you? why not use that, the information, the wisdom that he is allowing others to pour into us? Why not take that and pour into somebody else? You never know. You could be the one to walk in there and somebody may just be just about to be taking their last hit. And I want you guys to really think about this. Somebody may just be just about to be taking their last hit. And you walk in there and they see the glory of God on you and they pause. You've just saved a life. Somebody may just be about to sip their last drink, drinking your life away. Somebody may just about to be taking their last sip. You walk into that area and they take that away from their mouth. You again just saved a life. You go into an area where there are dealers. You may very well be the person that they need to see. You need to meet them at their level. And if you're coming in to meet them at their level, think back. Somebody had to meet you at your level. So if you're going to go meet them at their level, you are saving a life. I know today's encouragement sounds a little bit different, looks a little bit different, but I want you to truly, truly understand the depth of the question that was raised throughout this encouragement. I want you to understand the depth of the revelation that came out from this. Because again, like I said, Isaiah 35, 3-4, he's not only going to strengthen you to go into those places. He's not only waiting on you to trust him to where he sends you, but you are portraying a vision of Jesus walking into unknown areas. You're portraying a vision of Jesus going to eat with the sinners. You're portraying a vision of Jesus literally saving lives. So if Jesus could go walk with the sinners, if Jesus could go and save lives, why can't we go out and do that? And again, you never know, you just never know whose life you're going to be saving from going into these places. We look at it and we say, oh, I'm not going into that place, or I'm not dealing with that person because they did this, this, and this. So what? They did it. Get over it. I'm pretty sure he's looking down at us and saying, how can they say that I'm not going to forgive this person when I have forgiven them of everything? And it takes me right back to Sunday, I'm going to say Saturday, so my son played Jesus on Sunday, and I was doing his crown, and as I'm doing the crown, yes, it's a replica of the crown, and I'll share the picture in the comments, but yes, it's a replica of the crown, but as I'm doing it and designing it, putting it together or whatever, it gave me the visualization of the way that Jesus took on the load for us. And this is just toothpicks inside of a centerpiece. So toothpicks inside of a centerpiece is going to prick you. Imagine how much more it hurts. Imagine how much more pain you endure. Imagine how much more pain he had to endure. Not only being the crown of thorns, not only being pressed down on his head, but in the midst of all of that, his hands being nailed to the cross, his feet being nailed to the cross, him being whipped while carrying this heavy cross, being laid and slayed across the splinters on this cross. Just imagine. So who are we to say, I'm not going to forgive this person because they stole this from me? Who are we to say, I'm not going to talk to this person ever again because they did this, this, and this? They didn't do anything. the thing inside of them, the spirit inside of them, whatever connected to them, whoever they were in that moment, is what allowed them to do the thing that they did. But think back on your life and recognize you are not perfect. Think back on your life and realize that somebody had to come in and save you from the pit that you were in as well. So you are not too fancy. You are not too, I don't even really know the words to say, but you are not too purified. You're not too purified to go into these areas. If we filter you out, there's still going to be some dirt that is coming out through your filter. None of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. So there's still going to be some dirt when we get filtered out. There's still some dirt in some areas, in some crevices that you may not, number one, want to be revealed, but God knows all. So he's definitely, in some way, shape, or form, he knows. There's going to be some dirt, some particles coming through you if you were to go get filtered out. So what I'm saying is, you are not too perfect to go into the dark areas. You are not too bright. You are not too saved. You are not too sanctified to reach out and touch and help somebody else. Again, you never know who's waiting on your distinct voice. You just never know. So my word of encouragement for you today is trust God no matter where he sends you. You might look or you might think, you're really sending me in this area? Like, how is my voice going to help? But you may have a softer voice. You may have a softer tone. You may have a softer approach. So you never know whose life you're saving. You never know who you're stopping from their last hit. You never know who you're stopping from their last drink. You never know who you're stopping from their last scroll. You never know. So it's important to yield to the voice of God. It's important to understand that when he calls you for a reason. And you're not too perfect. You're not too perfect to go into the areas of where he's sending you. So my word of encouragement for today is to go into the areas. Trust him enough to go into the areas of where he is sending you. Happy Wednesday, you all. I love you all, and have a wonderful Wednesday.